Good morning, America. For our viewers in the West, President Biden passes the torch to Vice President Harris, shaking up this unprecedented race for the White House. With 106 days until the final votes, President Biden bows out, calling on Democrats to unite behind Vice President Kamala Harris. This morning, new details on how Biden came to the decision to exit the race. Uncertainty ahead, with almost a month until the Democratic convention. Could anyone else win the nomination? The reaction from Capitol Hill and the Trump campaign.
Vice President Harris hitting the ground running. Dozens of top lawmakers and party officials quickly lining up behind the VP as she looks to make history again.
America must trust women. America must honor individual choice. America must defend freedom.
The issues that define her, and who could join her on the Democratic ticket. We have full team coverage this morning.
The Secret Service director set to testify before a House committee about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Dangerously low altitude. The moment a Southwest plane suddenly dipped, then surged back into the sky. Was there a distraction in the cockpit?
Fast-moving wildfires across the West, more than 60 burning right now, scorching more than 700,000 acres. Our Matt Gutman on the scene in Riverside, California.
And fresh off their blockbuster world tour.
This is the first time Hugh's handlers have ever let him outside.
What? What'd you say?
Nothing. I was just saying that you're so tall, so handsome.
Run, Ryan, because are Hugh ready for these superheroes to race to Times Square?
Who's next?
I just said we are next, Hugh.
Let's give the people what they came for.
And the people want Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman live on GMA to answer our prayers. And a few questions, too.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. Indeed, a lot to get to on this Monday morning. It hasn't even been 24 hours since President Biden made that decision that no sitting president has ever made, dropping out of the race this close to Election Day, with less than a month to go until the DNC.
And in an open convention, the delegates would be the true deciders. This is the first time in more than 5 decades where the delegates are all free to vote as they choose and have the final say.
It was already the most unusual race in American history. Between two former presidents, one a convicted felon who tried to overturn an election he lost, then survived an assassination attempt. And now Biden is the first incumbent since Lyndon Johnson 56 years ago to give up a chance for a second term. President Biden and dozens of Democratic lawmakers have endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. She's the front runner for the nomination, but with the convention less than a month away, a fight for the nomination is still possible. We have team coverage. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce starts us off. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, this decision was always Joe Biden's to make and his alone. But ultimately, the pressure was just too much to bear. The president now giving up the job he spent a lifetime working towards. And now this morning, all eyes are right here on Vice President Kamala Harris. We are outside of her residence at the Naval Observatory. We will get our first glimpse of her later this morning after a whirlwind 24 hours that catapulted Kamala Harris from the vice president to potentially the top of the ticket. 24 days after his disastrous debate performance, with the relentless pressure from his own party only growing, President Biden abandoning his bid for a second term. Writing to his fellow Americans, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." The announcement, a political earthquake, one that surprised even his own campaign and White House staff. It took Biden more than 3 weeks to get to this point. In the days after the debate, he was defiant.
I am running and going to win again. I am all in. My word, I am all in.
Biden insisting in an interview with George that nothing short of divine intervention could make him leave this race.
If the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'll get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down.
I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to come down. But if you are told reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question. It's not going to happen.
The pressure only grew. The top Democrats in Congress, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, telling Biden to his face the party was concerned he would lose the election and take Democrats down with him in November. The powerful former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, sharing a similar message. And even though Biden insisted he was firmly in the race, she went on TV and called it an open question.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
In the end, 40 Democratic lawmakers came out against the president.
I do not think he is the best person to go into this election. I think if he is our nominee, I think we lose.
Then another blow. Biden forced off the trail by a COVID diagnosis, isolating at his beach house in Delaware, reckoning with his political reality. Huddled with just his closest advisors and family, sources tell us Saturday night the president began to come to his decision. Sunday morning, he started making calls, letting the vice president know of his decision. Sources say the two of them speaking several times throughout the day. Then at 1:45, the president alerting his staff on a call, and just 1 minute later, releasing his letter to the world. First Lady Jill Biden forwarding her husband's announcement with a heart. Her office telling us she was supportive of whatever road he chose. She's his biggest believer, champion, and always on his side. And from the president's son, Hunter, an emotional statement. For my entire life, I've looked at my dad in awe. How could he suffer so much heartache and yet give so much of whatever remained of his heart to others? I'm so lucky every night to get to tell him I love him and to thank him. I ask all Americans to join me tonight in doing the same. Praise for the president pouring in.
He's grounded in his faith, in his family, and in our state. Excuse me. I'm sorry. This was a very difficult decision, and one that I think reflects the very best of who Joe Biden is.
Pelosi calling him a patriotic American who has always put our country first, and one of the most consequential presidents in American history. Those words echoed by former President Barack Obama, who called Biden one of America's most consequential presidents, as well as a dear friend and partner to me, and a patriot of the highest order. With the political shock still setting in, President Biden wasting no time in endorsing his Vice President Kamala Harris to take his place atop the ticket, calling picking her the best decision I've made, and urging Democrats to come together and beat Trump.
Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it?
Harris, who's been hitting the trail hard in recent weeks, praising Biden for making the difficult decision. Writing, with this selfless and patriotic act, President Biden is doing what he has done throughout his life of service, putting the American people and our country above everything else. Then making clear she's all in, saying my intention is to earn and win this nomination. We have 107 days until Election Day. Together we will fight, and together we will win. This morning, many top party leaders now swiftly rallying around Harris as she's working the phones, reaching out to key Democrats. Bill and Hillary Clinton writing, now is the time to support Kamala Harris and fight with everything we've got to elect her. America's future depends on it. Harris also securing endorsements from key constituencies, including the Congressional Black Caucus, and several key governors like Gavin Newsom of California, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, and Roy Cooper of North Carolina, all lining up behind her. The Biden campaign this morning now full steam ahead for Harris, even filing the paperwork. The campaign now officially Harris for president. And there is no question right now, Vice President Kamala Harris is the front runner in this race. She could become the first black woman, the first Asian American to top a ticket. We will see her later this morning at an event at the White House, and we do expect her to be back on the trail soon. The president will also, we expect, come before cameras in the coming days and explain for himself this remarkable decision to the American people, George.
Mary Bruce, thanks very much. Robin?
All right, George, now to the Republican reaction on Capitol Hill. Many are calling for President Biden to resign immediately as the Trump campaign shifts its focus to Vice President Harris. Rachel Scott, you know she's tracking it all for us. Good morning to you, Rachel.
Hey, Robin, good morning. Well, within minutes of President Biden making this decision to drop out of the race, Republicans on Capitol Hill called for him to step down immediately. House Speaker Mike Johnson, the second in line to the presidency, leading those calls, insisting if Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he's not fit to serve as president, adding he must resign the office immediately. Some Republicans even threatening legal action over a change in the Democratic ticket, but that will likely be an uphill challenge. This is now a major campaign reset, to say the least, with just over 100 days to go until the November election. It's a curveball the Trump campaign was preparing for, but this is not one that they wanted. And Trump's playbook so far has been to attack, attack, attack. The former president, who just days ago said he wanted to focus on this message of unity, now calling President Biden the worst president in American history, insisting whoever the left puts up will be more of the same. And his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, stating Harris owns all the failures of the Biden administration. Harris may not be the Democratic nominee just yet, but the Republican National Committee is already out with ads attacking her record, Robin.
All right, Rachel, we're going to take a closer look at the state of the race now. Washington Bureau Chief and Political Director Rick Klein is joining us with what's next and the latest polls. President Biden, yes, endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. That does not make her the nominee. We are in uncharted territory here, Rick.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. There is no script for what happens next, and Democrats and the brand new Harris campaign are working feverishly behind the scenes to try to make this process as orderly as possible. No one wins without the support of delegates, and that's why the Harris camp is trying to reach out to as many people as possible, get as many endorsements lined up as possible. The convention begins 4 weeks from today, but Democrats are actually pushing to get this done through a virtual roll call the first week of August to lock this away and prevent the chaos and unpredictability of what would be a truly open convention where 4,700 delegates are free to do as they wish. That's exactly what they don't want, and that's why the momentum for Harris, Robin.
And Rick, if Harris is the nominee, it's still going to be a very tight race.
Look, this is going to be a close race no matter what, and this is what you have to look at in the polling. It's very early, and this is all hypothetical so far, but keep in mind that Harris is running a little bit better than Joe Biden, at least preliminarily. There was a poll out that we did about a month ago that had her up 3 points over Donald Trump. A poll that came out, though, in the wake of that assassination attempt had it a dead tie, 44-44. And here's a reason that some Democrats might be optimistic about her chances. This is the approval rating among some key constituencies. You see this, Vice President Harris's approval among black voters, 55%, a little better than Joe Biden's number, substantially better than Donald Trump's number. But, of course, Trump has been appealing to black voters. So that's a big number. Also, among Latino voters, you see Harris perceived slightly better than Joe Biden.
She is the front runner. Looks like she will be the nominee. But some of her potential running mates don't appear to be that well known, Rick.
Yeah, and this is an interesting reality check as to how politics registers at this stage. Most of the people that we're talking about as potential running mates are barely known by the American people. People like the governor of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky. You're talking about somewhere between 60 and 80% of the country that has no idea who they are, don't have enough information to make an opinion. It tells you about the unpredictability of this moment. There's some upside for those individuals, but of course there's a lot of risk involved too, Robin.
All right, Rick, our thanks to you. George?
Okay, Rob, let's get more now with our chief Washington correspondent, Jon Karl, along with Mary and Rachel. And John, in the end, Vice President Biden really had no choice. It's almost as if in the days since the debate, the Democratic Party held another primary.
Absolutely, George. No choice at all. He was left as the leader of a party that no longer wanted him as the leader. So you had the entire elected leadership. You had basically the elder statesman of the party. I mean, basically, Obama never came out publicly, but it was clear what he thought needed to be done.
Speaker.
Pelosi, this was something he just absolutely had to do. And, now the party is breathing a sigh of relief. We don't know what's going to happen in this race, but you can tell what Donald Trump thinks, and he's obviously, it's been scrambled. He was headed towards what he thought was a certain victory against Joe Biden. Now you see an all-out meltdown in his posts overnight. They're worried about a race that they now can't predict.
And Mary, it does seem as if the Democratic Party has closed ranks behind Kamala Harris right now. We have Manchin out there talking about pursuing a process, but the endorsements came in fast and furious.
They certainly did, George. It is very clear she is the front runner. The party so far very much coalescing around her, and in part because time is very short here. Look, in exactly 1 month from today, a nominee is going to take the stage at the Democratic National Convention to deliver a keynote. There's not a lot of time for challengers to come out, not a lot of time to turn this around. Kamala Harris, I am told, spent all day yesterday working the phones, reaching out to more than 100 leaders in the party, senators, lawmakers, governors, labor leaders, you name it. She knows that she needs to unite the party behind her, and she is going to be getting out there quickly. We're told she's going to be hitting the trail in the coming days. She certainly knows how to articulate the arguments in this campaign, and she knows she has to get out there and make the case against Donald Trump fast.
And Rachel, as John said, the Trump campaign really hoping that President Biden was going to stay in, but now they're training their sights on Kamala Harris.
The Trump campaign wanted it to be President Joe Biden on the ticket in November. There's no question about that. They thought with the questions about his age and mental fitness after that debate performance, they were hoping for yet another debate with President Joe Biden right before the election, that he was going to be best suited to defeat President Biden on the November ballot. That has now all changed. And as John mentioned, you can tell just how irritated and frustrated former President Donald Trump is just by looking at his social media page. He has been complaining for the last few hours of all of this change in the race, and Republicans are still trying to figure out a coordinated message on how they're going to take on Harris. We're told they have opposition books ready, not only for Harris, but also for other possible Dem nominees.
And John, choose your adjective: Shakespearean, biblical, unprecedented, historic. No one knows what's going to happen next.
All of this, I'm going to say Shakespearean above all. Look, this race was going to have the oldest major party nominee in history. That was going to be Joe Biden. It still has the oldest major party nominee, but it's Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you all very much. What?
George, Democratic donors, of course, played a big role over the past few weeks. Many now appear to be coalescing around Vice President Harris as she works to win over key players. Our senior White House correspondent, Selina Wang, is in Rehoboth, Delaware, with the latest on that. Selina, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Whit. Vice President Harris has already raised a flood of cash. Since yesterday, she's already raised more than $49 million from small dollar donors. That is more than the Biden campaign ever raised in a single day this cycle. And also, we're learning that she's been working the phones to shore up support, making calls to more than 100 people, including to the governors of Pennsylvania and Kentucky, 2 people who've both been floated as her possible running mates. And also now, the Biden campaign has become the Harris campaign, so that means she's getting their $96 million of cash on hand. So anyone else who wants to challenge Harris at this point would be starting from way behind. And major donors, they tell me that they're very quickly coalescing around the vice president, even those who would prefer another candidate, because they know that time is running out. And Vice President Harris has got a very busy week ahead of her. I'm told she's going to be traveling to battleground Wisconsin and to Indiana. But look, the kind of scrutiny she's going to be facing will be totally different now that she's trying to run at the top of the ticket. And she very soon could make history if she becomes the first black woman and the first Asian American to be the party's nominee.